Well, it is now that time of the year. Just a few weeks ago, you may or may not have seen my list of the worst/most disappointing games of 2025, and if you haven't, go check that out. And I assured you that my list of my favorite games of the year will happen shortly, and well, here it is. Now, before we get into this, there are always things I feel I need to make clear. This is my opinion. We all have differing opinions and different tastes in games, so what ended up being some of my favorite games of the year might not line up with yours. I also didn't play everything that came out this year. 2025 was a stacked year for games, but in a very different way from most stacked years. In that, I feel there were more surprises this year that ended up taking over and overshadowing some of the more surefire hits that, don't get me wrong, still hit. But because of that, there were a lot of heavy hitters I did not get my hands on this year. Those games are listed as I speak, either because I had no desire to play them, or they're just not really my thing, or I definitely want to play them, just haven't gotten around to it yet. Anyways, are you ready, guys? Let's do this. Hi guys, DPX here, counting down my top 10 favorite games of 2025. And before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will ransack your house. Nintendo. They had an interesting year this year. With the release of a whole new console, it's bound to be a big one. And I actually really liked Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart World more than most people did. In fact, I was actually really close to including them on this list. But one game a part of the Switch 2's first year lineup I was not expecting to make the list over those two was Kirby Air Riders. Never thought we'd see a sequel to Kirby Air Ride, not to mention with Masahiro Sakurai at the helm, but you can see the love poured all throughout Air Riders. It is content packed with 4 different game modes that all feel like their own games. Air Ride is as fast and chaotic as ever. Top Ride is still surprisingly fun. City Trial, as always, is a goddamn blast. And the new mode, Road Trip, although not perfect, is a lot of fun and a cool way to try out everything that the game has to offer, especially when you get that secret ending. But even when not actually playing the game, you can see the love of gaming all over Kirby Air Riders, as since it's a Sakurai game, everything is overdeveloped. All throughout the menus and the UI, it's Sakurai, you know. Simply put, you can tell Kirby Air Riders is a passion project from Masahiro Sakurai, and believe me, coming from a giant Smash fan, that's a good thing. As I said earlier, 2025 was surprising in many ways, and in one of those ways was that we ended up witnessing a clash between 3 kart racers. Debatable whether or not Kirby Air Riders is a kart racer, but we went back to the 90s and saw Mario and Sonic duke it out. And don't get me wrong, in many ways I actually like Mario Kart World more, but Sonic Racing Cross Worlds overall might just be the better game. I mean, it's the one that makes the list. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds really feels like a love letter to Sonic games in the form of a kart racer. With a roster of many Sonic characters, some who haven't appeared in any games for years, some who were only introduced within the past few years, and some added later on who never appeared in games, only appeared in the comics, along with tracks from all over the Sonic franchise. Not to mention the music is amazing and the rival system adds an incentive to keep playing with a total of 4 hours of dialogue with each interaction. Plus, the Crossroads mechanic makes every race feel different. It's so cool, and that's not even mentioning the guest characters, with many Sega characters, but also characters from Minecraft, SpongeBob, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Avatar, and TMNT. I might change my mind on this in the future, but the 3-way battle between the racing games was won by the one I was perhaps least excited for in Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Another thing I was not expecting in 2025 was a whole Ninja Gaiden blowout. Getting not 1, not 2, but 3 Ninja Gaiden games in 1 year. I thought Ninja Gaiden 2 Black was a really solid remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2 and reminded me of how good that game is. And Ninja Gaiden 4 really could have made this list if they just chopped off a few hours from the game or like a few of the chapters to make it a more tight experience. But the best Ninja Gaiden game of 2025 overall was Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, the first 2D Ninja Gaiden since like the NES. and it looks like it hasn't missed a beat. Ragebound keeps the trademark difficulty of the classic Ninja Gaiden games, which makes this game incredibly tough, as it's in the name, but also very rewarding. The bosses in Ragebound might be rage-inducing, again, because of the name, but they are doable and ultra satisfying when you beat them. Not to mention, the platforming is really well done. How you bounce off of enemies and all that, plus the 2 playable characters add a cool dynamic to the gameplay. It's a wonder the developer of this game is called The Game Kitchen, because they sure cooked with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Ninja Gaiden is back, baby.
36.
Very close, but that's not it. Let's go to Gary the Retard. What number between 2 and 4?
7.
Sometimes a game comes out, and it's really damn good, and you want a sequel, but what the first game did, it did it so well, you don't really expect the sequel to improve upon too much. That's kind of how I felt with Ghost of Tsushima, my #1 game of 2020, and it finally got a sequel with Ghost of Yotei, and it is glorious. Like what I alluded to just like a second ago, Ghost of Yotei doesn't necessarily change much from what Tsushima did, but I don't think it needed to. Yotei keeps the stance change mechanic from the first game, and it feels as sick and epic as ever, and dare I say, I'm gonna say it, it makes you feel like a samurai. Plus, I found the story very engaging. You follow Atsu on her quest for vengeance against the Yotei Six, a clan responsible for the death of her family. While it sounds like a generic revenge story, and it kind of starts off that way, there are some elements and twists that happen that actually set itself apart from most revenge stories. Not to mention, visually speaking, Ghost of Yotei is unbelievably stunning. Hands down, one of the best looking games of the entire year. Simply put, Ghost of Yotei is a worthy follow-up to an already near perfect game.
Okay, Mrs. Puff, what's my final score?
6.
Woo! We all have our differing tastes in games, and some types of games don't really jive with all of us. One type of game that I'm not a big fan of is roguelikes. They are admittedly cool in concept, and I can see why a lot of people love them, but the execution rarely hits with me. It's just, I guess, how I roll with things, I don't know. However, I can always make an exception for Hades, and now for Hades 2. Kinda similar to Ghost of Yotei, Hades 2 doesn't really change a whole lot from the first game, because what that first game established is really damn good, but it just builds upon it and makes it the definitive version. If there's one word I can use to describe Hades 2, it's addicting. As someone who's not a fan of roguelikes, Hades 2 had me coming back time and time again and continuing to die because I'm bad. But it doesn't matter. With engaging combat, fun as hell boss fights, different weapons that keep you playing as it changes up the combat a bit, the enemy variety, and even the story all make the game very addicting. Not to mention the music and those character designs. I'm sure a lot of you are surprised to see Hades 2 not even in the top 5 because of how beloved it is. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of roguelikes. And even if I make an exception for Hades, that still means the 5 upcoming games speak more to me and my tastes. But Hades 2 is an exception to that rule for a reason.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother.
Oh my god, I forgot about that part.
I love .mu. Whenever I get the chance to, I will sing their praises. I mean, look at this year. I didn't mention this when talking about it, but they published Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and also published other beloved games, chief among them being Absalom. I didn't play that one though. But you cannot go wrong with a game like Marvel Cosmic Invasion. This game is the definition of short and sweet. Short because it's a game you can probably beat in one sitting, but sweet because that one sitting is a damn good one. First off, it's got an incredible cast of 15 Marvel characters. And they didn't just go the easy route by picking your typical Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, but in addition to those characters, we got some lesser known characters like Phyla-Vell, Nova, and Cosmic Ghost Rider. And every character plays really well, but the gameplay admittedly is rather simple for the most part, but you have a tag in, tag out mechanic, like a friggin' Marvel vs. Capcom game. You don't just select one character, you select 2, and you can switch between them on the spot, during gameplay. And this is so cool in a 2D side-scrolling retro arcade-style beat-em-up that sets itself apart from the rest. Not to mention the story, the fully voice-acted cutscenes, and my god, the music! Marvel Cosmic Invasion is just a goddamn blast. Remember a couple of years ago, Sega announced that they are bringing back some of their older franchises? They specifically announced that Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe would all be coming back, and I cannot wait to see those. But in addition to those, there was another game that I didn't mention, and that's Shinobi. And we actually got it this year with Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Look at that, 2 dormant franchises where you play as a badass ninja returned this year, and both games made my list. Shinobi places higher though because it's more fleshed out by design, but either way, Shinobi Art of Vengeance is absolutely badass. You just beat the shit out of hordes and hordes of enemies coming at you while you string together combos that all feel super satisfying. You do this all throughout these beautiful looking areas. Lizard Cube does not miss with their aesthetics. But even besides all that, Shinobi Art of Vengeance is a Metroidvania light, I'd call it. Not a full-blown Metroidvania, but implements those elements very well. Shinobi Art of Vengeance is a great game, and if this is a sign of things to come for Sega's other upcoming revivals, I don't think we have anything to worry about. I've been talking about surprises all throughout this list, and the 2 games to come were somewhat surprising in their own ways. But what about a game that wasn't even on my radar until a chunk of it came out? Well, that would be Dispatch. Dispatch is described as a workplace superhero comedy and drama, which makes it sound like a show, which it in many ways is, but this show happens to be one of my favorite games of the year. It's a Telltale game, genre-wise that is, and with that, you have many different options on how you can play this game. But the story is great too, as it follows Robert Robertson, played by Aaron Paul by the way, as he's trying to find his place in this world and lead a group of reformed supervillains and try to help them become a united superhero team. It's compelling, it's fun, and the cast of characters is one of the best parts. And there's a lot of them to where Dispatch runs the risk of feeling like there's too many characters, but they all get their moments, they all stand out on their own, and a lot of them are voiced by some very interesting people. Like, I was not expecting Moist Critical and Jacksepticeye to be in one of my favorite games of the year. Dispatch is a joy to play, even if you're not actually playing it for the most part, but either way, in terms of a game not being on my radar and ended up really liking it, Dispatch may just be my biggest surprise of the year.
What kind of pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
Now, I did just say Dispatch may have been my biggest surprise of the year, but I also said that the top 2 were surprising in their own ways, and well, as for Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm kind of surprised we got this game at all, but I wouldn't have it any other way. My god! Donkey Kong Bonanza is such a fun time. It's a very unique 3D platformer, as it has more in common with games like Red Faction Guerrilla and Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, as opposed to a game like Mario Odyssey, with its destructible environments that helps Donkey Kong Bonanza stand out, as that makes traversal through each level unlike many of its contemporaries, and also opens up the possibilities for different ways to play this game. Not to mention, Pauline adds a lot of humanity to this game, for lack of a better term, as she not only helps out with certain things in the gameplay, but she adds an interesting dynamic to the story, or whatever story there is in a Donkey Kong game. But also, these areas and locations in this game are stunning, and it's so much fun to just go around, destroy everything in your path, while finding hidden collectibles or secret stages, many of which are callbacks to DK's older adventures. And that later part of the game, including the final boss and ending, chef's fucking kiss. Nintendo may have been a bit questionable this year with their pricing and game key cards and how they handled Mario Kart World, but Donkey Kong Bonanza is a genuine highlight and an easy must-buy for anyone with a Switch 2. Now, even though I didn't play everything, and I made that clear at the beginning, I did still play a lot. So here are some honorable mentions.
Luigi, #1.
Alright guys, my number 1 is gonna surprise you. It's a game that nobody has heard of. A game that deserves way more recognition than it's getting because it's flown under the radar. It's Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Look, I know, I am super predictable for having E33 at number 1. The game that swept all the awards, the game that took over the gaming world in a way we don't see too often, and a game that is so beloved it became a cool thing to trash it. I fully understand I am not original for having Expedition 33 at number 1, but in this case, fuck originality. I knew this game was gonna be my game of the year once that thing happened during the prologue. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played yet. But what makes Expedition 33 such a good game? Well, indulge me, because this entry is going to be a bit longer than usual. I can say it's the fact that you have a first-time developer of largely inexperienced people who made this game, and that certainly makes this impressive. What makes it good is the story. The premise alone got me interested. But after playing it all the way through, the story takes numerous turns and twists that sort of change your perception of the entire thing, and also moments that genuinely had me tearing up. What else makes this game so good? The gameplay. Whether it be the exploration in these beautiful areas or the combat, it's the perfect iteration of a turn-based combat system. And I know not everyone loves the parrying system in this game, but I fucking do. It is ultra satisfying when you parry a whole string of attacks from an enemy or a boss. It's the cast of characters in this game. All of them are fleshed out, all of them have their own backstories that have layers on layers, and when they interact with each other, it genuinely feels like you're watching real people interact. It's the music, which is out of this world, and even more insane when you learn about how they found the composer, or how about the bosses providing a genuine challenge, but not to the point where it's goddamn bullshit. Look, I can go on and on about how Expedition 33 is a masterpiece, but Lord knows everyone else already has. What else I'm gonna say is that Clair Obscur gave me an experience unlike anything I've ever had while playing a game. The roller coaster of emotions from the story to the hype and satisfaction from the gameplay is truly unique. I don't say this lightly, but Expedition 33 is not only hands down my favorite game of 2025, it might just be an early frontrunner for my favorite game of the decade. I'm not going to worry about that list quite yet, but my point being, this game is every bit as good as you've been told, and it comes in at number 1. Sandfall, I can't wait to see what game you guys got coming after this. No pressure. So yeah, that is my list of my favorite games of 2025. Again, I know I'm predictable for having Expedition 33 at number 1, but like to me personally, there's nothing else it could have been. But I want to know what you guys think. What are some of your favorite games? What games were not on this list that you would maybe throw into your list? I also noticed I've seen a few other lists and they're pretty different from mine. This is like one year where like I have a pretty different list. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, and also that'll do it for my videos and my channel for 2025. It's been an interesting year for me, so thanks for watching those who have. Let's look to the future for those who come after. Those as in games, because we got, like, if you thought 2025 was crazy, 2026 is gonna be insane. I mean, look what's coming out. But yeah, thanks for watching me this year, and I'll see you guys in 2026. Bye, guys. Oh yeah, and subscribe or I'll ransack your house. I forgot to say that. Okay, bye, guys.